fear. And although that's slightly more pessimistic viewpoint than it might be, because you can optimize the rate at which you expose yourself to things that would otherwise cause you to be afraid.
I will say less long because I already say 3 times this video.
So, but as you're progressing through life, what you're doing continually is either interacting with things that you understand well, which means that you know how to behave in the face of, or you're interacting with things that you don't understand at all. And your body and your mind are prepared to respond to things that you don't understand at all. And they basically respond by putting you on alert. And being on alert is a sign from the deep unconscious recesses of your mind and your body, for that matter, that you don't know what you're doing in this particular space. And as a
Okay. While you're afraid, you learn new stuff, but while you're not afraid, it's not true that it's not true while you're afraid you're learning new stuff only. It's also while you calm down, not afraid, while you calm down in a school and you learn like alphabets, scripture, religious, continent, mathematics. I mean, people, most of the place that people learn is not in fear, but in being calm and learning at school. They're not afraid what they're learning in front of the teacher, especially when the teacher is a hot woman. Anyway,
consequence, you have more things to learn.
I'll make more jokes because
so the way
it's
learn
long and
when
really boring to repeat 3 times.
Is by progressing voluntarily into the space and time that's unknown. And so you're always learning as a consequence of facing the unknown, and the unknown is something that can be frightening, although it can also be interesting if you calibrate your exposure properly. Now,
or it may be challenging, like while you're doing a bus or so, you don't know how to killing it, and because of it you must sing and watching and observe, because sometimes by observing it will telling you its weakness to know how to killing it. So it's not what you don't know, what there's a situation where it's coming and you don't know how to be able to react. It's not about just being it's not just about being afraid. It's also observe, because if you always gonna be afraid and new thing that's happening in video game, you always end up dying and never learn anything. So when you learn anything by a new situation like a bus, you stop being afraid and try to watch his weak point, his weak side, and try to killing him and look his behave and how to winning the next boss. Let's continue.
This is just as true for psychotherapy as it is for any other form of learning, and that's because psychotherapy really is a form of guided and structured learning. And one of the things that you continually do with people who are seeking psychotherapeutic help is to determine what it is that they're afraid of or what it is that they don't understand, and then to break it down into what you might describe as manageable doses, and then get people to expose themselves to that situation or set of situations voluntarily. And the consequence of that is that people become less afraid and more able. And the original hypothesis was that was because you were doing some form of counter-conditioning, that people had learned to be afraid in a particular circumstance, and you were teaching them to not be afraid.
Well, who the fuck would teaching to not be afraid, and that before you teaching them, they were like have the behavior to be normally afraid, having the teaching of being afraid? I mean, who the fuck teaching them to be afraid? Sometimes there's a old way of saying, fight your fear.
That's wrong, that viewpoint. What you're really doing with people when you expose them to situations that they're afraid of or that they don't understand is expanding their range of competence. And you either do that by literally teaching them how to behave in those circumstances, which is what you would do with children or maybe with friends, or by helping them observe their own reactions when they're placed in a situation like that, because lots of people who are afraid of things think that when they confront something they're afraid of voluntarily, that they'll be absolutely terrified and unable to cope. But they often find that if they do place themselves in the situation carefully and voluntarily, that they're nowhere near as paralyzed by the encounter as they might have thought. And so partly what you're teaching them then is that there's more to them than they thought. Generally, when you're teaching people about the world, given that the world is a frightening place, if you're a psychotherapist, there isn't a lot of utility in trying to convince people that the world isn't as dangerous as they think, because the world is just as dangerous as you think it is.
Like I said before, no, it depends on probability. How many probability that I have to die right now here, or we have an event that's gonna kill me? Almost none. It depends if you're having a probability of a situation that may make your body dead, stop your life, stop your breathing, stop your pumping, make your brain, make your brain shut down. Basically, it means that. Hey, I repeat again 3 times. I'm really strong and stubborn. Let's continue.
It's actually quite a
And the
remarkable
fourth
fact that we're
video.
all not paralyzed with anxiety all the
I'm
time.
waiting to
But we're
see
not.
number 4 is
But
this.
part of what you have in your armament against the terrors of the world is the possibility that you hold within you. And people are unbelievably tough and resourceful creatures. And even if you think that you're not up to the challenge, you can be sure that encoded in your bodily structure somewhere are abilities that you don't really understand that would come to the forefront if you put yourself in a situation where they were necessary.
Okay.
So, and that's a lot of psychotherapy is
That's called, where you're doing something you don't understand, and the situation make you learn something new in you that you did not know you have the ability to do. That is called an instinct. Not like about ultra instinct, but instinct.
Precisely that. It's helping the person learn that
Making the
there's
things
more to
way
them
less
than
long.
they
Yeah.
think. Not so much that the world is less frightening. So, to be exposed to something you're afraid of often means to reconfigure your own preconceptions. Because if you're afraid of something, it usually means that you coded it or understand it in a certain way. And so that when you encounter it, not only do you have to learn something new, but you also have to let go of your old presuppositions. Maybe that's what...
Like I said before, you don't have to. You're having an information about the bear is dangerous and it will kill you. You say let go of this information to have a new information, say that the bear maybe is dead. You're watching that way. That's your perspective. My perspective, you're having information, the bear will killing you, but then your information change. Your information change that the bear is dead. What's the difference? Is that you, information the bear will kill you, but you have a new information and the old ones disappear. Is that you changing your information to another. Me is that I did not change information. It's just that the bear will kill me, and then after the same information change to the bear will not kill me. So same information, but change. Bear kill me too, bear will not kill me. Same information. But the only difference is how the information changing with time. So again, I have information the bear will kill me, and this information changed to the bear will not kill me, he's dead. You having information the bear will kill you, but you reject this information to a new information with another that the bear is dead. This is how you see things. This is how you see things. This is perspective differently compared to me and you.
You do, for example, if you overcome some kind of prejudice that you might have to people or things or places, because you don't approach the object that you're afraid of in a conceptual vacuum. You have presuppositions. And what that also implies is that when you're learning, even when you're learning incrementally, there's a process of letting go and a process of building. So when you learn something...
You don't mean to learn new things to forget the old thing, because this would mean that the more old you are, the less you remember your childhood, your teenage, and also your young adult age. It's also mean you don't become smaller because you make new room by let go of the old one. You just remain the same intelligent but with different knowledge. Because I would say to a person, remain your old knowledge and apply new knowledge, and continue to make the new knowledge grow bigger each day, but remember your old knowledge, so that your brain is still, as IT smart as before.
You have to let go of an old presupposition.
But also having an upgrade, because it is as smart as it is before, but with the upgrade of the new knowledge. An example, I know English. I forget about it and now I know the Hebrew. I'm an idiot, I still know just one language. Oh wait, I know English, but now also I know the new knowledge of Hebrew. And because I know the new knowledge of Hebrew, it's mean I know something new. But I did not forget English, so I have two instead of one. This is what I mean. One's more intelligent than the other, right?
Position of some sort, and those presuppositions are alive because they're part of you. And part of what that means is that every element of learning in the face of something novel is often also an undoing of previous learning. And that's partly why the motif of death and rebirth is such a powerful one throughout human history. It's a primary mode of human what would you call it, of the human story. It's certainly of human mythology, and the experiences that people have in psychotherapy are often similar.
I don't remember in Sumerian or Babylon someone that, it's possible that if there's a character who's afraid before resurrection, because they don't want to die, they don't want to get killed, they don't want their flesh getting eaten by an animal, everyone know that. But I don't remember in mythological Babylon or Sumerian, and also Egyptian, a person reincarnate. At least you're talking about reincarnation mortal. But if you're talking about resurrection, I don't remember resurrection in Sumerian or Babylon. Resurrection. In Egyptian, if you symbolize Set wind in the night and Horus wind in the day, no later symbolization of Egypt, maybe perhaps. But there is other, like I remember his name was Matra, or other god also that resurrect just like before Jesus, but not an original mythological like Sumerian. I don't remember one resurrected, but anyway.
Death and rebirth experiences in part because they come in damaged and fragmented.
Or not
and
even
hurt,
Egyptian.
and often
Unless
have to
of
encounter even
course
more
that we talk about Osiris, but that's it.
of the material that caused them trouble to begin with. But
But
the consequence of that is
still,
that
it was not really a resurrection completely well done because he still remained in the land of the dead, on the underworld. He never was resurrected completely. So
it shake the structures that are inhibiting their further development, even though that might cause some pain, and then hopefully they can come back alive.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that when you encounter something that's truly unknown, you go through a process that's similar to that too. In that, if you've ever been in a situation, for example, where you deeply desired something,
Mm-hmm.
but you failed to get it for one reason or another,
Okay,
there's
it's
pain
enough
associated with that. That could be
because
a
I've
person
not copyright. Subscribe to him, the best. Okay.